So. The title of this section right here.
This is your favorite.
Fam, this has got to be one of the most disgusting things I have heard in politics today. I really mean it.
Disgusting, but sadly not surprising.
Right. You know what? That's the shame of it. It's not a surprise. If you live in California, every single bridge you drive under has homeless people. It is bad. It's run by a supermajority of Democrats, and yet the state is bankrupt. Businesses are closing down. People are ending up on the streets. And when these evictions come through, oh my God. So why would we give back power back to these knuckleheads? But the title of this section is We Feed Them. Let's play the 1-minute clip right here with Wolf Blitzer. You probably saw it, but let's go over it again.
No knowledge of the difference between our two bills, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to say that to you in person.
Right. Madam Speaker, these are incredibly difficult times right now, and we'll leave it on that note. Thank you so much for joining us.
We'll leave it on the note that you are not right on this, Wolf, and I hate to say that to you, but I feel confident about it, and I feel confident about my colleagues, and I feel confidence in my chairs.
And it's not about me. It's about millions of Americans who can't put food on the table, who can't pay the rent.
And we represent them. And we represent them. And we represent
these long food lines that we're seeing. I know you are. We know them. I'm just saying.
We represent them and we know them.
As we say.
We know them. We represent them.
Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, as they say here in Washington.
It is nowhere near perfect.
Madam Speaker.
Always the case, but we're not even close to the good.
All right, let's see what happens, because every day is critically important. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for your sensitivity to our constituents' needs.
I am sensitive to them because I see them on the street begging for food, begging for money. Madam Speaker, thank you so much.
Have you fed them? We feed them. We feed them.
We'll continue this conversation down the road for sure. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Wolf Blitzer looks like a progressive here. And he's not. And this is like coming out of CNN because it can't be ignored any longer. I mean, if you live in California, you will be approached by multiple people every day that can't feed themselves. And for her to say that she feeds them, to me, it's disrespectful, though, because it's not even like, she can't be that stupid. This is all about ego. What she's doing with Trump is a play for their ego. They're literally putting the American people's lives at risk. Literally, people will die because of her inaction and the inaction of the Democratic Party and the push of the Republican Party to run rampant and have zero opposition in our Congress. And she has the audacity to call out from her ivory tower that we feed them, that we represent them, when it is exactly the opposite. Especially, we know, in California, she's one of the most disliked people here. She won't debate her opponent, Shahid Buttar. Even Mitch McConnell has debated his opponent. So you're telling me Nancy Pelosi is unwilling to compromise and is more corrupt because she won't debate her opponent than Mitch McConnell?
Yeah. Listen, I'm glad you talked there, because it's like every time I watch that, my blood boils. There is the biggest homeless population in America is in California, and two cities in particular. Thank you, Jesus. The pasta's hair is looking good. I feel good. But you talk about San Francisco and Los Angeles.
Yep.
Right? I mean, homeless people all over the place. We know people who do feed them. You haven't done anything. Nancy doesn't come out for any marches. She doesn't come out to talk to her poor people. She stays in her ivory tower with her thousands of dollar freaking refrigerator and freezer, eating fancy ice cream. And she does this. I mean, this is disgusting. Like I said, this is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in politics today. And let me tell you something, fam. This really is going to hurt Biden in the general election. Because make no mistake about it, there was no deal she necessarily walked away with from. We have this next article up, Johnny. You can just put it right up. Pelosi defends the demand for broad stimulus package as the Senate prepares a scaled-down bill. And what had happened is Nancy Pelosi decided to go to make a deal and cut a deal with Steve Mnuchin, from the White House, all right, working for Donald Trump. And as they were talking through this deal, you know what I'm saying, things got out of hand, and Nancy decided to walk away from the actual talks. So even the fact that there wasn't a bill there right now, so it says, Senator Nancy Pelosi of California defended her unwillingness to accept anything less than a broad coronavirus stimulus package in negotiations with the administration on the same day that President Trump called on Twitter for negotiations. Go big or go home. Senate Republicans, meanwhile, are heading towards a vote to advance a scaled-down package that the Democrats are unlikely to support. Now, it goes on to talk about what we just saw over here, whatnot, but right below it says, honest to God, I can't get over it, Ms. Pelosi said, who muscled a $2.2 trillion proposal through the House earlier this month. Andrew Yang, he's lovely. Khanna, he's lovely. She said this earlier in the interview, but they are not negotiating the situation. They have no ideas of the particulars. They have no idea what the language is here. And if you go down to that last one, it says a scaled-down package by Mr. McConnell said at an event in his home state of Kentucky is likely around $500 billion and containing funds for hospitals, schools, enhanced employment benefits, the PPP, a popular federal loan program for small business that has expired without congressional action. So to recap of what's going on, pretty much the Senate says they're not going to even look at Nancy Pelosi's $2.8 trillion proposal she had with the HEROES Act. They said they would scale it down. They said they were going to look at. Nancy Pelosi thought she could be cute, bypass it, go right to the administration, talk to Steve Mnuchin, cut a deal of some sorts. She got caught up with all the prices and decided to walk away. So now she just swung all the negativeness on her about this whole situation. Because, fam, you don't have to just put this on the Congress. You could put this on Donald Trump, too, as well. You could say Donald Trump's not using the bully pulpit. He's not going out there and pushing for a standalone bill. He has said he would pass another standalone bill for another $1,200. So he's got that on the side. But what Nancy Pelosi just did, and in this interview alone, she took all the burden and all the crap of this negotiation and just put it right on her with all this language she used, the way she looks at people. We're talking about poor people starving in the streets. We haven't even got to the renter situation. If Nancy Pelosi was for the people, her, the squad, whatever, they put a standalone bill for money, rent relief, and, small businesses.
Direct aid.
That's it.
Entirely for COVID.
That's it.
She's playing politics here to one-up Trump. It is like a show of whose dick is bigger. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, that's what it is. And, like, these are people's lives she's toying with. Yep. And it's as simple as that. It's as simple as the fact that California is one of the states that I think worst handled the pandemic. And we're going to see that. Some people might not see that right now because they look at Florida and Florida's like normal and open and people are without masks, etc. But if you focus on the economic aspect of how awful California has been handled economically and how awful we had it before this pandemic, this state is a disaster. And I think the mishandling by this Democratic supermajority of California during COVID is going to be a big deal because we pretty much could be our own country because we're that massive and that influential economic wise. And so the fact that they are so awful at their jobs and they haven't provided the people anything, and Trump is looking like, oh, here, I'll give the $1,200 if it's just for COVID, and she's coming back and trying to still pass her little projects that she wants in there, really makes her look like it's on her in the eyes of people outside of the Democratic echo chamber. Because you can yes Queen Nancy Pelosi and you can yell and get pissed and like all the neoliberals were doing and defend her. Why are you defending an oligarch who has nothing in common with you, who made money off of spewing lies with CrowdStrike, who her son in the Ukraine? I mean, this is disgusting, and she is a reason why Republicans can come back and say Nancy Pelosi's horrible, she's corrupt, she's this, she's that, and you can't deny that. They're attacking you from the left on people like Pelosi and people like Joe Biden and people like freaking corporate Democrats like Chuck Schumer. Like all of these people, they literally give the ability of Republicans to go after them. And this is doing is pushing people to the right. It is pushing our whole entire system towards fascism. Yeah. And this quote we feed them is online with, they should just leave. I mean, I think it's worse because when Donald Trump was saying they should just leave, if you don't like it, then leave, he was just talking about, Ilhan and Congress people. She's actually talking about people in the streets. We feed them. I mean, who is we, fam? Who is we? Are those the elites? Are you talking about Congress? Are you talking about the Democrats? Who is we? Because you don't do shit. And who is them? Right.
We know who them is. Them is us. Them is us. I mean, we don't know what it's going to be like. None of us here. I mean, what's going to happen? We were talking about this the other day. What's going to happen in a few months? Are we going to open up like before? I mean, things have changed. Let's get into Twitter real quick. The Twitter weighs in. The first one was the tweet from Khanna, what Khanna said, and he put it up pretty much. Here it is. Let me get it up. I don't even have myself. I'm sorry, Johnny. People in need can't wait until February. 1.8 trillion is significant and more than twice the Obama stimulus. That's a little jab there, Ro. You cross the speaker like that. It will allow Biden to start up with infrastructure. Well, not now. Obama won in 2008 by doing the right thing on TARP instead of what was expedient. Make a deal and put the ball in the McConnell court. And she's saying, make the deal with Mnuchin, come down to his level, pass it in the House, put it in the laps of the Republicans in the Senate, fam. That's what Khanna was saying. And I wonder if there's going to be a backlash on Ro from Nancy.
Yeah, he might delete his tweet or something because he's done things like that.
I thought it might have been deleted.
I mean, this is pretty, but it is so, but don't you see that, like, her behavior was so blatantly disgusting that even a CNN pundit who belongs to that elite class of journalists who are basically propagandists is chastising her? Like, no, actually, that was a really bad answer. You can't talk like that about your constituents. Like that, and even Khanna, who isn't, as progressive as people hail him to be, is like, this doesn't make sense. Just put the ball in their court. You're literally getting played. I think this is I think this is all on purpose.
Johnny,
I don't think this is hubris. I think this is.
Put that statement back up too as well. I'm sorry to step over. I didn't want him to lose that statement. Your statement that TARP was the right thing is interesting considering how many people were foreclosed on, never to recover.
Yep.
And that's true.
Yep.
A lot of people had their ass thrown out in the street
Obama
in 2008.
didn't handle it really well either.
No,
so let's
no
not.
moratorium there from Obama. Margaret Kimberly, friend of the show. She's been on before. We got to get her back. Has the best hair in the business. We love her. Only Nancy Pelosi can make me agree with Wolf Blitzer. Had to throw it out there. She's got a lot of likes on that one. We know her opinions as far as the Green Party member of what she thinks about Nancy Pelosi. But, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats just keep on giving everybody more and more ammunition. I want to show who the we feed them is. Here's the them. This is in the streets here, fam, right here. Are these the people you, in hashtags, are feeding Nancy? I would have liked if she just put Nance. Just Nance. But, fam, this is what it's all about. Johnny, you've been out right now and about. You've been to the food drives. We know the people who do this stuff.
Yeah, they feed them. They literally, Carlos doesn't sleep. He goes in at, like, the Friday night, the night before, to prep everything because people camp out to get a bag of groceries. They literally camp out to get a bag of groceries. So it's gotten worse. It's gotten worse. They used to come in the morning at 5 a.m., 6 o'clock. No, now they're coming in the night before and sleeping because that is how desperate they are.
Yeah.
That is how desperate they are. Those activists are the ones feeding people. Mel is working with the showers, etc. I mean, they're feeding themselves. Like the story we just covered in Echo Park. They're taking the things into their own hands because they said the city cuts off their water and their electricity. So I don't understand who Nancy Pelosi means when, we're feeding them. Who's feeding them?
Yeah.
Who's we? The Democratic Party laughs in your face. And when you're an activist for homelessness, when you're an activist who advocates for people in need, they mock you like they mocked Gabriel Ramirez for being an activist in his community, for going to city council meetings. They don't feed them. They mock them.
Yeah.
They say that they cut off their water. They tell them that they need to go somewhere else. They jail them. They prosecute them.
There's no lie.
You are literally, the Democratic Party in California has allowed the police department to criminalize poverty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that goes across the board too.
Yeah.
Across the board for both parties. On a national level, poor people go to jail for being poor.
Yeah. That's right. They've been trying to police their way out of poverty for a long, long time, ladies and gentlemen. Mental illness falls into that whole play with these people on the streets not getting the proper medication. And can you just imagine? And you know, we've seen the shower of hope. We've seen homeless people go in, and you know how defeated they look, and when they come out, how just uplifting from a shower. So when you take a shower, don't take it for granted. And I can tell you, coming from Boca Raton, Florida, where I lived for many years, where we didn't see homeless people, coming out here and seeing it, and now it's 10 times worse. Fam, from where you live to what you see now and what you guys see in the bridge, can you please just express the severity of this situation? That like every single bridge we go to, there are tarps and people just living under bridges and stuff. This is serious now.
People are living in the medians. They're living by bridges. They are trying to form communities like this, you know, what we can show a little bit of what we reported on. None of these people, though, care about who's going to become the president of the United States, because guess what? They're still going to have for governor Gavin Newsom, who's done absolutely nothing, Mayor Eric Garcetti, who's done absolutely nothing. The only people that have managed to push some city council people are the activists that finally managed to get, after 3 years, managed to get a shelter open for women and children with the She Does community. I mean, that was after going to city council meeting after city council meeting, going to protest, going after the city council members. That is the community feeding people. That is the community taking care of them. But that's not freaking politicians. Politicians will stamp their name on something to say, oh, look, I did this, then turn around and continue their business as usual. And that's what's happening here. And this is why nobody can convince me that voting for Joe Biden is going to help people or that you care about poor people, because it is poor people who have nothing to lose that understand that getting scraps that is insulting, that understand that they can't afford to literally compromise at every level and continue in this direction, because they see it, they live it every day. It is a very privileged point of view to think that voting for Joe Biden is going to solve any of your problems. To think that voting for Democrats like Nancy Pelosi, who laugh in your face, who literally spit in your face, are going to solve your crisis. Johnny, did you want to play some of that? Or
and but they know, you know, why I'm homeless, you know. I'm homeless, you know, because like you say, you know, my whole family's passed away, and that's affect to me a lot. They affect to me a lot because I'm alone, you know. But I was trying to not remember, you know.
Yeah. Is there anything that you are looking forward to that you feel good about right now in this situation?
No, not really, because I was in my mind. I was thinking in my mind and said, wow, by now, you know, sometimes, you know, I'm feeling so bad, you know, especially, you know, when December's, you know, Thanksgiving, when I was with my family, but right now, you know, I don't have nobody.
And that was just one example, because other, and all these people, they want basic things. They just want to be able to live their life. And at the very least, this community is trying to give people like a kitchen, trying to give people like a shower, fighting with the city, who is, again, taking their water, taking their ability to charge their phones. They just want, more than anything, the thing that they echoed was, we want to be treated like we're normal. We don't want people to think, oh, there's us and them. And that's something you should always have in the back of your mind when you see somebody that's unhoused, is they're a person too. Look them in the eye, talk to them. You know, they're not just this whole like idea of a community that exists there that you don't want to have to face, because then you'd have to face the fact that this country is the richest country in the world for 1%. For the 1%, but not for everybody else.
Yeah. And that homeless number is growing. It's been growing. It grew under Obama. Obama helped that. You know, he helped facilitate that, throwing people out on the streets. 5 million people evicted, whatnot. And that's the whole thing, too. It's like, I mean, we're the richest country in the world, and we have over 600,000 homeless people on the streets, and the number is growing.
And you think it's because everybody's lazy and everybody's a drug addict?
Yeah. When it will be 1 million people after February, that's systemic. That's a systemic issue, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? We can't even give people a decent living, the dignity. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sorry to get all caught up in stuff, and I always do, because this is bullshit. That sucks. That's terrible. You're going to tell me America's the land of opportunity and the home of the brave? So 600,000 people and growing. I mean, come on.
And not to mention that people are still working for Disney and Amazon 40 hours a week, working 10-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts, and they're still homeless.
Yeah. 40% of, I think it's almost like 50% of homeless people now have a job. That's kind of crazy. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. 50% of the homeless people, half the homeless people out there, have a job. Think about that. And I will never vote for any of these Democrats ever again, man. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but you know what I'm saying, for the most part, I don't think anybody who's any type of progressive that really wants to fix this problem should be a part of that party, because that party facilitates that. We have a supermajority over here. And Nancy Pelosi, how much is she worth?
A supermajority that literally makes their number one mission to push progressives out of power.
That's it.
To gaslight them and keep them from getting a hold of any office.
And they have corporate mechanisms that will never let you take it over. So stop this whole idea, this pipe dream. That's an old school New York term. Hey, you're having pipe dreams, pal, okay? That you think that you're going to change the Democratic Party from inside. You're not.
Especially
the mechanisms
after
are
they're
there to stop you. Sorry.
Especially after they're in power. Like, why would they
do anything after you gave them their vote for nothing?
Like, it's a logical fallacy. Anyway.
How much is Nancy Pelosi worth? Our boy from the MCSC network, Roblito, I like to call him. He put it up over there. Roblito fire. Nancy Pelosi is worth an estimated, ready fam? $160 million.
Ooh.
It's easy for her. She'll never have to go without food, shelter, or health care, or ice cream. She'll always have it. She can't afford to wait for it. She can afford to wait for a stimulus. We can't. She's making millions of people suffer for the sake of her own ego. Shameful. Well, a lot of people also think too, Rob, that if another stimulus is passed, that it will look good for Donald Trump, and it won't look good for, you know what I'm saying? So if she's playing politics and we're the pawns, either way, any way you look at it, there's no way out of this. She's really put herself in some hot water, and I just want to reiterate that Keith Olbermann is a douchebag.
Yep.
You know, he's been a douchebag for a little while. He's got the most severe case of TDS is probably Keith Olbermann. I used to watch this guy on ESPN all the time. He goes, sorry, this is beyond embarrassing. Wolf Blitzer, you owe Speaker Pelosi and your audience an apology. You are the worst person in the world. That was my Keith Olbermann. He used to do that. He used to be one of the top guys when he first came out. I mean, he moved from ESPN. He went into politics. He was pretty good, but the TDS is just crazy. And the fact to see him stick up for Nancy Pelosi on this one. What did Cullen say? What happened to you, Keith? What happened to you, Keith? It's like him and Peter Douche switch spirits or switch personalities.
I mean, it's just, how do you defend what she just said? Like, you have no spine.
Yeah.
You're an elitist prick.
Ryan Knight, who's, this guy's learning every single step of the way, you know what I'm saying? He might come out in a position, but then he'll change. He'll understand. I don't think he's pushing for Biden anymore. Anyone who's praising Speaker Pelosi after that shameful interview with Wolf Blitzer is out of touch as she is.
Yep.
The people need relief right now, and she is playing politics instead of making a deal.
Yeah.
Let me say this again, fam. She passes a standalone bill for direct assistance to the people. The House passes it. The Republicans are going to have to pass it, God bless you, in the Senate. Otherwise, they'll look awful. And Donald Trump has been saying, I'll pass a standalone bill. He said this on a tweet 3 weeks ago. $1,200 bill, I'll pass it right now. Standalone, I'll sign it right now.
Yeah. I mean, it should be more than that, because people should be getting a UBI for whatever, lost whatever, because this is not going to end. Now numbers are going up in COVID again in multiple places. So what are they going to do? Shut down again?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is potentially one of the largest economic crises we have before us of our time.
With all this talk on, and Johnny, you have the next thing ready, because we listened to a little Sputnik the other day, and Peter Lavelle was on. Little Sputnik, but
Sputnik.
I had this conversation with my mother too as well, and she's like, well, a lot of the problems are coming from the Democrats and stuff. Donald Trump's done a good job. I said, Mom, he hasn't done a great job at all. I don't have TDS. I don't want to put it all on his shoulders. Like I said, the Democrats have the House. If they're for the working people, pass the standalone bill, put it on the pressure of the president and the Republican Senate. That's what you do. Because then they're going to have to explain why a one-page standalone bill is not passed. If the people understand it and you're standing by the people, you got them. But Nancy Pelosi will never have that, never do that. Nobody can even present anything. If the squad had any guts, first of all, they haven't called her out on this. They would.
Yep.
Okay? And they would also force Nancy Pelosi to put one of their bills on the floor. Put Rashida Tlaib's bill, put Ilhan Omar's bill on the floor. They put it out there just for virtue signaling, just to look good. They don't put the heat on Nancy Pelosi and say, put my vote on the floor for a vote.
The AOC's too busy going after Republicans only.
Yeah.
When the person stopping who holds the power to progressive legislation is Nancy Pelosi, and together they could get all people to go out there marching for whatever they wanted. They could get that. AOC is popular enough to do that. But again, she doesn't do it because she wants to play nice with the Democratic Party.
Yeah. And those days are over. Those days are over.
Absolutely.
And listen, Peter Lavelle, he talked about this. Now, Peter Lavelle is a conservative. He was on Fault Lines. And he talked about this. And I kind of explained this to my mother. I said, Mom, no. Donald Trump should have just got out there with the bully pulpit. He should have forced the Republicans in the Senate to do his will, stick up for the middle class, and he would have won this election. You know what I'm saying? But this is Peter Lavelle's opinion on Donald Trump. So.
And I would say the U.S. is kind of in the middle in the response. The problem is the optics of it. See, what Trump needed to do at the very, very beginning, once they realized the magnitude of this affecting in a very deadly way, a very, very small part of the population, but it's deadly nonetheless. He should have come out and articulated that very clearly to the American people. And a lot of his surrogates are awful in speaking on his behalf. And number two, and I think the second half of that is the reaction to the collapse of the economy. When you look at mainstream media, particularly the liberal media, they're not affected by this at all. They have no idea what's going on in the average life of average Americans about not being able to pay your mortgage, losing your job if you're in the gig economy. Tens of millions of people have been affected. The president hasn't addressed that issue. He should have, and I think I've said this on your program before, he should have gone left of Joe Biden, and he should have shamed the Republicans in the Senate to get a stimulus package that affect for people that are working people and middle class people, because the rich and powerful were already fed at the trough. They got concierge service. Okay, but what about the average American? And Trump could have hit the ball out of the park on that one by addressing the pandemic and together addressing the economic decline of the middle class. And I think he would be way up in the polls. It is a mystery to me why no, it's not a mystery to me, because he's got all these ridiculous, backward-looking, pig-headed libertarians around him, okay? They say, oh, no, we can't, the budget. Oh, come on. You got tons of money for rich people. Can we have a little bit of money for the middle class and working people? Trump.
There it is.
See, I tell you, Peter Lavelle doesn't sound to me like a conservative. I mean, he might have shifted to the left or whatever. He might be left to center, but he definitely doesn't sound like a conservative to me, because I find myself in agreement a lot to what he says. Now, on social issues, yeah, we will disagree a little bit or significantly, but when it comes to the economy, he's entirely right. I mean, Donald Trump could have had the upper hand. This is why I feel like neither party wants to win, because Donald Trump could have, like, literally, and he's done it a little bit, attacked them from the left, and right now he has the upper hand in terms of the negotiations with Nancy Pelosi. But he could have done a lot more and just out-lefted the Democrats more to really secure his nomination, and he didn't. He really didn't.
Well, I mean, this was before the Nancy Pelosi meltdown. She really just handed Donald Trump a gift right there.
Yeah.
I mean, she made the Democrats look so bad. People are going to be questioning a lot of things.
So elitist.
It is.
They look more elitist. They look more elitist than the Republicans, because you guys have to know, and I keep saying this, that Hitler was able to get the working class, and that's why he rose to power. If you could get a fascist to get the working class. I mean, right now the Democrats are so bad that they've lost all of the working class, and the Republican Party has managed to kind of shift their positions to get a lot of the white working class that felt completely dismissed by the elitism in the Democratic Party. And that's why we saw this shift of these people to Donald Trump, especially in middle America, especially in the South, where a lot of people who think that Joe Biden's going to win completely dismiss those areas. They've never been to them. They don't talk to those people. You have to understand how people are thinking outside of your Democratic bubble, especially living in such a liberal state like California, where people are completely under one different impression and live in different conditions than people live in middle America and the South.
And, you know, he could still make a move, too. Donald Trump can still make a move. He can still come out and say something and do something. If I were him, just, hey, pass a standalone bill right now. I'll sign it. If not, I'll sign another executive order. If that's what I got to do, if the Nancy Pelosi's and the Democrats aren't going to get things done, I don't care. Just do something right now. And I really wish that somebody would address rent relief, fam, because that is going to be, that's just
especially
looming in the
here
background.
In California.
Oh, my Lord. That's looming in the background. And when that happens, Jonny, the tsunami of evictions are coming. That's right. I'm talking to you, pal, over there. You got anything else to say on this subject before we get off it? Because I can sit here and talk
we could talk
crap
forever
about Nancy Pelosi all day. But wow. I mean, just wow. We feed them. We feed them. That's all you need to hear. That's all you need to hear.
And until we defeat people like Nancy Pelosi, we're never going to be able to get like actual opposition to the Republican Party.
Yeah.